Hey, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a creator who's been able to smash through his goal and have a six-figure success on Kickstarter. And I love to talk with creators just like this on my show. We really get into the brass tacks of how to get funded using major platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, how to use crowdfunding in order to really assemble your tribe and to get them to help you move forward a new project, a new product, a new invention. It could be a tabletop board game, music project, film campaign, or even something a little bit more creative in nature. And I think that crowdfunding is one of those incredible tools which you can use in your arsenal. But if you don't know what you're doing, the best tool cannot be used in the easiest way in order to do the job that it needs to do. So that's really why I started the show in 2015 and why we have over 500 episodes, because I'm passionate about this, dude. I want to make sure that you are successfully funded. And more importantly, I want to get your product out there so it can impact more and more people. And in today's podcast episode, we are privileged to speak with a creator who not only has done this incredible campaign, but also has launched many other e-commerce product brands online. He's spent over 30 years of self-funded startups. He's a CEO, an author, a husband, and a dad. And more importantly, he's been able to really understand and re-engineer crowdfunding to be able to use in order to fund his new projects. So really cool interview, and I hope you take away some good learning lessons from this one, specifically when it comes to the marketing, when it comes to getting your product made and how to do that, and the importance of that. And lastly, what do you got to do in order to blow past your goal? In today's episode, not only are you going to hear about that, but I also think that there is, in my opinion, a system that goes into really getting these campaigns launched. And I started to, first stumble on this back in 2012. And in 2015, I started the podcast to really share more education with the world. But what I've done is I've really tried to condense that and bring all of this, remove all of the fluff and the nonsense and really cut straight to the core of what you got to do from a paint by numbers, step-by-step formula when it comes to getting a campaign funded. And what I did was I put all of my best hard-won wisdom into this guide, which I call the Kickstarter launch formula. So if you ever want to boil this launch thing down to a formula, this is a great place to get started. This guide is available on Amazon. It's available as a paperback version, an ebook version. And for those of you who love listening to that audio, I got a version out there on Audible, which you can check out and also get a free copy if you want when you get a free trial of Audible. So if you want to go to this link I'm about to mention, you can download that copy of the Kickstarter launch formula and to begin to supercharge your Kickstarter campaign. Go to the link at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That link is crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. Again, that link, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio, will take you there, and you can download your copy of the Kickstarter launch formula. In addition, I got a free course which will walk you through how to get a campaign launched, and more importantly, some of the tricks and the tools behind the scenes that other bigger creators are using in order to get their campaign funded. Go to the link at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter, enter your name and email, and you'll start getting some lessons from me at the link, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. Without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode and discover how this entrepreneur, who's also a viewer of our YouTube channel, was able to launch a six-figure campaign. And it's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a six-figure Kickstarter campaigner who has invented a new way in which you can crush the memories. A single button AI voice recorder, AI enhanced transcriptions, haptic feedback, Wi-Fi sync, and iOS, Android, and web app. And we are lucky enough to have the creator here on the podcast today. Erik, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Scepter.
Definitely, man. Maybe you can fill in some gaps in that introduction and just tell listeners a bit more about you and also your product here.
Sure. Well, I'm a product developer. So my day job is effectively lots of engineering problems and running companies. So I effectively come up with solutions to problems, and then I create companies around them. So I've done this in real estate and finance, and I'm now doing that in technology effectively. So I have multiple brands, and some are in tech and some are not. But this is one of our tech brands, And I look for problems in the market and create solutions for which people will pay. And using Kickstarter is a great way to validate it.
So with Crush the Memory, do you think you can, just tell listeners a tiny bit about, what your inspiration was here and a little bit more about the product?
Of course. Well, what Crush is effectively an AI voice recorder. And so, the question is, why do you need one? And it goes back to a problem that I've had for my whole life, quite honestly, is that I'm a creative individual and I rely upon my thoughts to propel my future. And that means that ideas are very important to me. And I get ideas in the strangest of places, the most inconvenient of places, and at the strangest times. So there is no schedule for me to just get inspiration. It just strikes. The commonplace, I think, for most people is in the shower. There's something called random shower thoughts. And I started looking into this years ago because I was talking to someone in my building, a lifeguard, and he's writing. And I said, "What are you writing?" She's like, "I have to write down everything or else I'll forget it." I'm like, "Well, I've been forgetting for such a long time, and that's not new." But the overhead of writing, getting a pad, or going to your phone is so high that a lot of people don't do it. And me especially. I'm already moving on to.
And then you're going to lose it. Yeah, you're going to lose it anyway.
That's correct. You lose it anyway. We've already conditioned ourselves. And Salvatore, that's really where this story gets interesting is we've already conditioned ourselves to know that we can hold on to it. And then I got into that and I'm like, well, why is that? Turns out that your brain operates in two primary modes. One is called task mode, and the other is called default network mode. And the times when you are hit with that inspiration, that flow state, with which we are all familiar, that is default network mode. And that is a very elusive, very special state, but it breaks very quickly. And usually when you're in that state and you're trying to remember something, you're trying to remember, you're trying to try to remember. You're not trying to just remember the idea, but you're trying to make sure you remember the idea. People repeat it over and over so they don't leave that state. And because once you get into task mode, you're done. Like that idea is gone. By the time you open up the phone, you're like, oh, what was I thinking? So I thought about this problem and I said, look, I'm not the only individual out there who depends on his thoughts in order to progress himself. Someone like you're making content. Think about all the times you're meeting an idea somewhere along your path of the day and you're just like, oh, I'll have to remember this. I'll remember this. This is such a great idea. And people then delude themselves saying, well, if it's such a good idea, it'll come back to me. How is one to test that is always my question. Like, have you ever tested it? And like, how could you possibly test them unless you're recording all your thoughts and then going back to them?
Right. And then, so Crush kind of helps record those from what I understand using AI, right? And it also interfaces with an app. Is that how it works?
That's correct. So there's an app called the Crush app. And I should also disclose that Crush, the word, you may ask me about it, but it's a conjugation of the word creative rush, because that's when you need to capture. So there's an app and you can speak into the app. It will transcribe and create a note for you. And I have a very great mastery of organization. So I really understand how to organize in the simplest of all manners. So I've created this app around how people should organize their thoughts. Mm-hmm. And there is an external device, a little recorder that uses Wi-Fi and transfers your audio files up to our web, transcribes them and brings them down to your phone. We also supply you with the audio file for you as well. And I'm making it extremely simple sounding because that's the way I want people to approach it and understand it. But the idea is very simple. Capture your voice and get it onto your phone in a note. And in an organized app where you have real clear logic. And then, after that, our core job is to capture your idea and transcribe it. After that, we have some amazing features which leverage more AI for taking action on those notes. So
what I love? Yeah, what I love about that as well is you're kind of using a third device, versus I don't want to always have to whip out my phone, right? It's kind of annoying. And then you have to deal with all of your notifications. Whereas this is kind of more, you can easily tie this around your neck or you can hold it in your pocket, right? And you can just kind of pull this out and record that. Out of curiosity, what made you decide to go the Kickstarter route? You've done other companies. Why decide to unveil this on Kickstarter?
Many reasons. The first is I'm a product developer and I have multiple brands and I launch products for a living. That's what I do. And I've never, for some reason, gotten into Kickstarter. I've purchased off of Kickstarter and supported campaigns. However, I've never really explored it. I don't know why. I've been so busy building these other companies that I just overlooked it. And I saw in sometime in early 2023, I saw some tech products and voice recorders. And I said, geez, this is a really interesting place right now. I want to learn Kickstarter. This is something that I want to do. And I think I can be successful on Kickstarter. I have everything that's needed. I own a factory, so there's no delivery risk. And if I
That helps a lot.
yeah, if I can demonstrate that to individuals on Kickstarter, this would probably give me an edge. So what I did was I got interested in Kickstarter because I wanted to learn it. Number one, I saw other products that were in the tech arena that were very similar or had a similar type of user. And I kind of put it together and I said, look, here's an audience that's already primed for looking at crowdfunded products. If I can polish this enough, and if I can present myself in a manner that gives them confidence because they don't know me, right? This is the problem with a lot of these crowdfunding platforms is that, you don't know the people. And I'm pretty easy to verify. So I said, I think if I can spin up this cocktail, I think I can be successful on Kickstarter. And
right.
That began my interest.
And from what I understand, you actually had a pretty quick reception here when you went live. What were you feeling, first of all, like the night before you went live with this campaign? What was kind of going through your mind?
This it's so funny you ask that. It's this, no matter how old I get, no matter how many successes I have, no matter what, every single startup I do, I get the same self-doubt, butterflies. Will I fail at this? It's like a plague for founders. And I'm sitting in my factory and I'm literally going through that. And I sent a video to a friend of mine, Jeff Evans, who's an amazing guy who was with me at my previous startup, which incubated this project. And it was the same feeling, everything. And I sent him a message saying like, hey, guess what I'm into right now. And this is how I'm feeling. And I'm like, it's like a rewind and a repeat. So yeah, it's very, look, everything matters to me. Projects matter to me. This project was 3 years in the make and it means something. So yeah, I get nervous. Like the night before and the day, like when we were pressing the button, I'm like, oh, just press it. I'm like, let's be done with this. Like whatever happens, it is what it is. I was like, you start talking yourself off the ledge and then you get some, success points and then you're like, okay, there's traction. People are listening.
Right. I mean, it's pretty insane. You were able to hit your goal, looks like in the first 20 minutes, right? So you got fully funded, you started getting more funding. What did that feel like when you started to see, people actually backing this and that starting to roll in the door?
Well, it's really encouraging and it's validating. And I think that's what a lot of people effectively desire when they go on to Kickstarter. They want to be noticed, they want to have success, and they want to be encouraged to know that the idea or the product that they're putting out there is gaining traction. The other people see it the same way you see it. And that's amazing. These are wonderful moments in time. And so we had a lot of really good coaching. We hired a consultancy to help us. And that was very fruitful for us because it merged with how we do our marketing. We have a whole marketing department. And so we have graphic designers and paid ads people. We have a full-on operation. So I have a decent following on X, and about 20,000 people. And I started talking about this back in March of this year. And then I started releasing more information. And then I started really engaging my community on what I was doing and start putting up videos. And at the end of March, I effectively said, I'm going to go live with this and start taking, $1 deposits. And I'm going to bring this to market. And this is what it is. And I started talking about it every day and made videos and started to get creative, doing a lot of the work by myself and engage that community. So when it was time to go to turn on the button, press the go button on Kickstarter, my X community was already primed. It run paid ads and collected thousands, I don't know, maybe like 6,000 emails. And we converted a lot of those people to, we call them VIPs, and we had them pay us $1 deposit in order to be able to get the launch information. And that was very good because we converted a lot of those people. You still battle with emails and
Right.
the problems with that, but that was very useful. So everything, when it came together at one point from, a reasonably 3.5 month marketing period, that we achieved the success that we wanted very quickly. And we were trying to use that early success, of course, to get the notice of Kickstarter, which is why the funding goal was so low. I think the funding was 5,000 or something like that. So we were,
congratulations. I love the way you were able to validate that and build interest ahead of time. And then you started to, unveil a really cool product on Kickstarter. So congratulations on your success. If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillment, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. For someone listening to this, you sound kind of like a untouchable, right? Because you have a factory, you have multiple companies, you have this six-figure success. What advice would you give to the average person who wants to get like a new invention, new product out there? What are your thoughts on that?
be able to deliver. So I did this really deep dive into crowdfunding and Kickstarter in particular. As a matter of fact, I reached out to you. I sent you a DM on X back in October of 23, a year ago. I had been looking at all of the different campaigns, and then I started to, I immediately, look, I'm an adult, and I zoomed out and I was like, oh, wait a second, there has to be an agency, or there have to be consultants who work on this. This isn't just people going in cold. No one raises, a whole chunk of money just by accident. So I started, and I uncovered you. I found your videos on YouTube and I watched them. I reached out to you on X. As a matter of fact, prior to this call the other day, I looked for it and found the message I sent to you. So I was actively looking for people to.
That's awesome, man. I'm sorry if I didn't reply. I'm not sure if I did or not.
Yeah, you've got so many channels of communication. This is just one, and I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't get to every single message everywhere. But I did start reaching out and started to look for a consultant and found a group, and I learned a lot from that. I'm so happy. I would recommend hiring a consultant. Salvatore,
Right.
you do a consultancy, people should hire you. It is no, I mean it is so important. It helped create the success, meaning I've never done crowdfunding before. I'm not stupid. I know how to, run a business. However, this is something brand new. It's a whole platform. Like
Right.
there's newsletters, there's all sorts of stuff. And what I learned.
Well, I totally appreciate that, and thank you for mentioning that, and I hope you got a lot of value out of the videos. I just want to, we have a great opportunity. I want to focus this a little bit more on you, which is you have this great background in creating products, And so the first one you said is that you need to make sure you can deliver, right, when it comes to doing a campaign. Do you feel like there are any other lessons that a beginning creator should take away from this episode in terms of how to be more successful with Kickstarter? Even deciding, is this something that they want to go down that route?
Yes. I think I can give you some cogent pieces of advice. I just closed another Kickstarter campaign, as a matter of fact, just last week. So I have information that I can share that I think is meaningful. The Kickstarter campaign we closed, we went in cold, no marketing beforehand. We just turned it on, and that was it. And mildly successful. I think it did like $12,000 or something like that. And it's for a comb. So there's a lot of variables here that are not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. But if I could recommend, one is being able to deliver. Why do I say that? I did this deep dive and I looked at all the failed campaigns. Why did they fail? And the biggest reasons were inability to communicate or non-willingness to communicate with the people who are backing, a total inability to deliver. People get sucked into the paid ads game to the point that they spend all of their raised money on paid ads and can't deliver. I know this for a fact too, because people have come to me through this community and they have asked me what to do because they need an investor now to make the actual product for which they took the backers' money, but they had to pay paid ads. So you have to be very careful on your paid ads balance. You need an exceptionally good, if you're going to do paid ads, you need an exceptionally good landing page that converts and gets people interested. We ran a campaign into a ClickFunnels equivalent, and that campaign got the interested people to give us their email. When we got their email, we sent them to another screen asking them if they would like to lock in the lowest price for the campaign. You can do that for $1. And the psychology is if they pay $1, they are more likely, 30 times more likely to adopt your product or back your product when it launches. So
Right.
that was very good. And this is all what we learned through this platform. And other advice is you do not need to update people all the time when the campaign is live. People are like, no, you need to update them. Like, no, actually, the more that you update them, the more people you lose, the more backers leave. Once they back, leave them alone. That's what I've learned. Don't over communicate. Don't do anything. Like give one update. That's what we did. We did one update. We left people alone because then they're busy. They forget. They may not remember what it is. See an email from Kickstarter with an update. Be like, wait, what is this that I buy? And then they're like, I'll just cancel it. So updating equals canceled pledges.
So be more mindful of how frequently you update and making sure you're not overdoing it because people might decide to cancel. Sounds like.
That's correct. However, when the campaign closes and the credit cards get run, give yourself a day and then communicate. So I'm a major communicator. I post regularly, every week, an update, meaningful, long updates with lots of information. And I also will answer every single message, every single comment. I leave nothing unturned. So I communicate that way because you can substitute the comments, correction, you can substitute the comments for the updates. You can update people in the comments and people will read the comments. If they see no
well said. Yeah. That's really interesting.
And they say, okay, and people are used to it. It's like a social media feed. They can scroll and be like, okay, what's going on? So that's the way we approached it. And we were very, as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if we did an update or not. We may not have done any updates on that launch. We did one on the Kickstarter campaign that we just closed, I'm sorry. And we did one because I was like, let me just at least do one. It's for combs. It's not, not super technical, not really expensive. So being able to deliver, I think, is obviously the most critical.
Being able to deliver, understanding the marketing, knowing how to do updates, when not to, and also engaging with comments. Well, first of all, one other question I really did have, and I think this is a good one for you, is you've had success, it sounds like, in the traditional e-commerce realm and also with Kickstarter. When it comes to the Kickstarter backer, how do you feel like they're different from the normal e-commerce buyer? Any thoughts on that?
Big time. They are very different. First off, the person who backs a crowdfunding campaign already has an idea of a risk profile associated with it. They choose to ignore it often, but they know it's there. They are also willing to wait. They know they're not getting this tomorrow. They know they're not pressing the button and expecting it to show up at the door like Amazon. They're willing to wait for 6 months, a year. It doesn't matter. They just want to know that they're getting the product. And they also like being part of the process that I've seen on other campaigns. Although we didn't include people in the process in ours, they do like being part of the process. And they're willing to take educated risks, I think. And if you look at the failed campaigns, you see that the founders are not really all together. They've got a good idea. They're going out there to trying to do something, but there's some component that always ends up missing. It looks great, everything looks wonderful, but they just can't get there. And the backers for crowdfunding campaigns are also into crowdfunding campaigns. It's something that they like and enjoy, and they see something they can be, they can be an early adopter for a product. And that's also very exciting. I've funded a whole bunch of campaigns and purchased a whole bunch of items off of Kickstarter for years. And I understand the risk profile. I have a lot of belief in founders in getting the job done. And that's where I kind of continue to return to my narrative of being able to deliver. And I told people I guarantee I will deliver because I'm pretty almost done with the project. There was no delivery problem that I had. And I think, Salvatore, this is a really critical point so people understand my approach is I did not go to Kickstarter until I was really ripe.
Yeah.
And I was not looking to raise money for the beginning or finish this project. I used Kickstarter as a platform to create awareness and get as many sales as I can up front in order to validate the product, debug the delivered product, and then pour it on for the whole business plan. So now I've learned Kickstarter. We've now done two Kickstarter campaigns this year, and it's an excellent platform. And the more that I continue to engage in it, the more I'm able to understand the backers and the psychology of the backers. And also, interestingly enough, it's overwhelmingly male, but there is a female contingent. There's no question about it. And they are pretty interesting and pretty aggressive, some of them.
Right.
Really cool to see that. So we're launching another one for a beauty product that we have already developed. We already have the mold in progress, but we're going to use Kickstarter as the exact same.
Very cool. You're a busy man. Lots of rods in the fire. I was looking at your X profile. Looks like you're also a family man. In thinking about this journey for you, what has been the most rewarding aspect? Why continue to come out with new products, campaigns? What's been the most rewarding aspect for you?
The bank account getting filled up with Kickstarter money. I mean, that's a measure, right? I mean,
honest, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what people want. They're going on a Kickstarter to raise money to bring their ideas to life and sell them and get rich. That's why we're there. It's not a mystery, and we all want the same. And so, could my campaign have done more? Sure, I would love to have seen it do $500,000. Am I glad it didn't do 20,000? Yeah, you bet. There's the most rewarding is seeing that people want it, buy it, and there's enough juice for the squeeze for me to validate it and keep going. So we have one more really interesting approach that we're going to try. We're spending a year testing and understanding Kickstarter. That is this new campaign that we have. We're going to drive a 200,000 person email list to the campaign, and we're going to see that if that works, or 300,000 people, some segment of that. And we're going to try to train our customers for our brand to go to Kickstarter for our new products, because we think that they will wait for product anyway. and we can engage with more people and get some more Kickstarter organic sales. So it's
Right.
very interesting, a very fun platform, and
Very cool.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like it.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. First of all, where can people go to learn more about your products, your upcoming campaigns? Where can they go to learn more?
If they want to learn more about what I'm launching and doing, the website is imek.com, four-letter domain. Try getting one of those, Salvatore. So, and if they would like to learn more about Crush, it's crushthememory.com.
Awesome. So I'll make sure to link that up in the show notes for both of those. And my final question for you, we kind of end on this note. You can either end with a quote that you like. It could be a word of encouragement for other creators out there, or any advice that someone else has told you on the path that you found to be useful.
I have a wonderful quote by William Blake, and it is, "A fool who persists in his folly will become wise."
Ooh, that one hits hard. I love that. Very cool. Erik, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And good luck with your upcoming launch for your next campaign. And I'll be sure to also link up your previous one in the show notes.
Salvatore, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvatore Brigman, and in this podcast episode, I think we learned so much about launching a new campaign. Specifically, I took away some great lessons when it comes to the marketing, when it comes to what you got to do in order to really build good relationships with your customers, making sure you're delivering, and the opportunity that I think is presented to everyone out there when it comes to e-commerce, when it comes to coming out with a new product, and that this is a field that is ripe for disruption. And if this is something that you want to do, if you want to get a new invention or product out there, this is literally the best time, in my opinion, to do that. And Kickstarter is one way in order to accomplish that. Now, if you want a little bit more guidance and hand-holding going into this process, sometimes I have people who watch the videos on YouTube and they'll go and take action, and it's great. But if you kind of want a layer deeper, if you want more detailed information and really kind of have like your handheld as you're going through this process, you're trying to learn something new, you're trying to maybe learn how to play golf, or go play tennis, or trying to do some complicated transaction like you're trying to buy a house, what do? You go to an expert. You go to someone who can help you through that process. And that's exactly what I offer in this specific industry. And by that, I mean intensive one-on-one coaching calls with select students who want to move their life forward, who want to move their business forward, who want to launch their campaign, get funded, blow past their goal, and really be able to bring their products or their creation to the world. And on these intensive one-on-one coaching calls, we go through everything you need to know in order to get funded. And in addition, we review the steps you've been taking up until now, what you got to do in order to make a couple of adjustments with your marketing. In some select cases, I also might help out one-on-one with students. But I would say that this is really designed to be a one-off intensive coaching call where you walk away from that sucker and you feel good, confident, and you know the road ahead. You know exactly what you got to do in order to get your campaign launched. Go and check out this link if you want to book your individual one-on-one coaching call with me at the link crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link will take you there, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Thank you so much. My name is Sal. Leave a positive rating and review. Takes 2 seconds, helps out the show, and other people know this is worth their time. If you're listening on YouTube, get out of the house. Go out there, kick some ass, take some action, go to a cafe, start working on your project. But before you do, hit that subscribe button and give me a like. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a part of my community. My name is Salvatore Brigman, and I will see you next time.